Good morning. Welcome to 7th lecture of analog microelectronic circuits. I hope I'm audible. If not, please put in the chat box. Right. So in the last class, we discussed about MOSFET structure operation, and we have seen that when you're applying a voltage to the gate by keeping source and drain as ground, we looked only at the application of gate voltage first. So when you're applying a gate voltage, if your voltage is negative, holes will be attracted towards the region beneath the gate, and that will lead to accumulation of holes. And if you change that voltage, the gate voltage from negative to positive, so if you increase your voltage from negative to positive, all right, sorry, I did not share the screen. Yes, so when you apply a positive voltage, what first happens is the holes will be pushed away from the region beneath the gate, and then as you keep on increasing your positive voltage, electrons will be attracted. So initially, when holes are pushed down, you will have the atoms which are uncovered there, which are negative immobile ions. And now, as you keep on increasing the voltage at your gate terminal, naturally the positive voltages will attract negative charges, and charges will be coming from both the heavily doped regions and also from the substrate, which we can find a few minority carriers. So that also will be moved towards the region beneath the gate, and you can see that a channel will be formed beneath the gate. So this happens at a specific voltage, and we name that voltage as threshold voltage, because that is a voltage, gate voltage, at which a conducting channel is formed, and we call this conducting channel as inversion layer, for the reason that your substrate is initially P, even the bulk, you can see the rest of the substrate still remains as P, but only the region or the portion beneath the gate is changing as an N type of substrate. It is not exactly substrate is changing, but because of the carriers which are available there, that region is in fact inverted, and we call that as inversion layer, and that is forming a conducting channel which connect source and drain. Now, as we have seen, whenever a conducting channel is present between source and drain, then there are all possibility. If you apply a voltage between drain and source, a current is expected to flow between drain and source terminal. And we have also seen that for a N MOSFET device, threshold is positive, and for a P MOSFET device, threshold is negative, which can be explained by looking at the initial structure or initial substrate on which we start the fabrication of MOSFET. Now, so when after creating a conducting channel, and as soon as you apply a VDS voltage, we can see that. So before applying VDS voltage, the voltage available in the channel at source end and drain end remains same, and as a result of that voltage, charges will be accumulated. So if you look at the quantity or the amount of charges available at the source end and drain end of the channel, it is equal, for the reason the potential available at the source end is VGS, and that is available at the drain end is VGD, and both are equal, so that result in a uniform channel. But as you keep on increasing VDS voltage, or as you start applying with this VDS voltage, the first thing is we can expect a current. So as a result, we have seen that how these two characteristics, the terminal characteristics of MOSFET comes. So as you increase VDS, your current will also increase in proportion. Uh, and also we have seen that for a larger VGS voltage, you will have a higher slope, or your current will actually uh, take this shape, or it will shift towards the y-axis. That is for your ID VDS graph. Now, if you look at ID VGS graph, soon after your threshold voltage, your MOSFET current will gradually increase, and as you keep on increasing your VGS, you will get a larger current. But one thing to note, both of this graph or both of this terminal characteristics are extracted by keeping one voltage as constant. So if it is ID VGS graph, you are actually keeping VDS as constant. A sufficient VDS is kept so that a current will flow. Similarly, for ID VDS graph, we make sure that we are applying a VGS which is sufficiently greater than threshold, so that as you vary VDS, a current can flow through the device. But as you keep on increasing this VDS, we observed one more thing. The voltage available at the source and the drain end are not equal. As a result, the charges accumulated or charges attracted towards the channel also will not be equal. So that can be understood better by writing. So initially VGS was equal to VGD. Then later we understood that VGS is not equal to VGD. In fact, VGD is becoming smaller for the reason VGD is VG minus VD, or it can be written as VGS minus VDS. So as you increase this VDS, as you keep on increasing this VDS, VGD is becoming smaller, or VGD is reducing. So as VGD reduces, charges also will be lesser. That result in change in shape of the channel, and that we understand by drawing lines in this form. So as you keep on increasing VDS, the channel will actually taper, and finally it will reach this point where you can see that its channel is just present. Now that condition too, since the channel is just present, we have taken that condition or the voltage of VGD as equal to VT, for the reason when you're when at threshold voltage you have a channel present over there. So for that reason I have taken VGD as equal to VT, and at this condition, that means the channel is present there. From that, I have written what is VGD. VGD is VGS minus VDS. Or if I look at that VDS voltage, so if you look at the shape of the channel, channel shape is getting affected, or channel shape is getting tapered because of the application of VDS voltage. Now, from this condition, so this condition has arrived, all this condition has reached because of the application of VDS. Now, what is that VDS value? We have got the value of VDS. That VDS is equal to VGS minus VT. So we have stated that at VDS equal to VGS minus VT, channel at drain end is narrow. So after stating that as narrow, we have looked at the ID VDS graph. So there we have seen that initially your current was keep on increasing. Current was increasing initially, but later we observed that at this particular voltage, at this voltage, when your VDS is equal to VGS minus VT, what is happening? Current is no longer increasing, rather current is actually becoming constant. So you can see that, okay, now we have to reason out why current is not increasing, or why current is not falling, decreasing, and why current is remaining as constant. So from there, we'll start our discussion for today. Right. So I will just redraw the Cara. So this is the ID VDS graph. This is VDS and this is ID. Now we know that this graph is plotted for a specific VGS. This is VDS, and I am keeping a constant VGS which is far greater than VT. It is greater than a VT voltage. So as per our initial discussion, initially when your VDS is very small, you will actually get a current which is proportional, and your VDS is keep on increasing, your current is also increasing because there is a channel present there. Now when it reached a specific point, and I'm marking that voltage as when your VDS reached VGS minus VT. So at that point, we have observed that. So if you look at the MOSFET structure, here you have N plus, here you have another N plus. Now, the voltages are applied, and now your channel, initially you had a channel formed here, but now that channel has actually taken this shape, right? Channel has tapered because of the as VDS increased, and as your VGD reduced, and finally when your VGD becomes VT is what I have written this condition. Now when your VGD is equal to VT, channel is just present. Now if you're still increasing your VDS, so even after this, if I am increasing VDS, what happens? If VDS is increasing, then your VGD becomes still lesser, and if your VGD is becoming less, what will happen at the drain end? Can you tell me, can I get some response? If VDS is increased further, so initially channel tapered. Now what will happen? Any response? Yes, we call it as pinched off, or in fact what is happening is the charges present there will naturally vanish because of very less voltage. So as if VDS is increased further, the tapered channel will eventually pinches off, right? That means we can further understand that in this form. The tapered channel will have something like this, or still if we increase your the channel will actually move away from the drain end. So to understand that, I will actually draw in this form. This is your initial channel, then this is actually the condition where the channel is just present, and soon after that this will start happening, right? So what is happening? So just for clarity, I am actually drawing with a larger magnitude over there. So as you keep on increasing VDS, channel will pinch off, and further if you increase, your channel will move away from the drain end. That means the effective length of the channel. So say for example, this was the length of the channel where charges were initially present. But what will happen because of this increased application of VDS, now the new length of the channel will be something like this. So maybe I'll mark it as L dash. So your channel length will eventually reduce. Now we will get a question. So for a current to flow, a channel should be there, and channel was there, and we observed that after this particular voltage, there is current cannot increase further. Why current cannot increase? Initially your current was proportional to applied voltage and channel was fully present, but as you keep on increasing your VDS voltage, the current was also increasing, but at specific point your channel is getting pinched off, and after that definitely we know that current cannot increase. Now why current is not dropping? So I will mark this graph as current will not increase because there is no channel there, but current will actually flow or current will continue to flow through the device. So what do you think? What can be the reason for that? Why current is not dropping down to zero? Any thoughts on that? Any can I get few response in the chat box? Any responses? So do you agree that or did you understand the idea that current will not increase further because there is no channel, but current will flow further? No answers. All right. Okay, so let me explain. Now, if you look at this, the figure what I have drawn, between this L and L dash, I have, oh, my voice is breaking. Hello. Uh, yeah, uh, probably the internet connection. I do not have a problem right now here. Kindly check yours, Govardhan. Can I get few more responses from other students? Am I clear? Okay, all right, yes.
A little bit, sir, before.
Okay,
Little bit.
okay, all right. Probably because I have a good connection. I can see the connection is stable. Yes, thank you. Yeah. Now, if you look at this, the figure what I have drawn here with two different channel length, one is L and another one is L dash, right? So we can observe that between this L and L dash, between these two channel lengths, so or in fact that portion is here. So between these two, maybe I'll use a different color. Here you cannot see any channel, or here you can see that uh, no channel is present. No, even in the absence, so does this mean that the transistor cannot conduct current? If there is no channel, does it mean that the transistor cannot conduct current? Yeah, if you ask me that question, I will say no, the device will still conduct current. And if you ask me the reason is we know that there is a channel available till this end. Till this end, there is a channel available. And we are applying a potential. We are applying actually a potential like minus plus VDS between these two terminals. Say, for example, this is your source terminal with N plus, and this is the drain terminal with N plus, right? So between this I am applying a VDS, and the voltage or the magnitude of VDS is actually large. At this point you are applying a larger VDS. Now for that VDS, that means you have a lateral field and electrons will be definitely attracted. You have a channel present till this point, so electrons will be actually flowing, electrons will be moving, and electrons will be reaching till this point. Then what happens? So once the electron reach this end of the channel, there is no channel present over there. So if there is no channel, what is there? Can you tell me what is available? What is there in this region where there is no channel? If there is no channel, it is P substrate. Yes. If there is no channel, there are no charges. If there are no charges, I can think that this is in fact a depletion region. Right. This is in fact a depletion region. Now depletion region will actually offer yeah, holes will not be there, Akram. The reason, since I have applied a positive voltage to the gate and that voltage is still persistent, still that voltage exists, holes are driven away or pushed from the region beneath the gate. I'm not talking about the entire cross section. I'm talking about this part where initially channel was present and now channel is not there because of the application of VDS, right? Now you can see that there is a depletion region here because there are no moving charges. Now once the electrons reach the end of the channel, the electrons will actually experience a high electric field. Why? Because there is a depletion region and we are applying a VDS. That VDS has to drop somewhere, and since there is a high resistive depletion region available, the voltage will in fact drop here, and that will create an electric field. Now the electrons reaching at this end of the channel will be driven or will be pulled by this high electric field in the depletion region surrounding the drain region, and those electrons will be rapidly swept to the drain terminal. All right, are you getting? So what I'm telling here is initially there was a channel, there was uniform channel, and as I keep on increasing VDS voltage, the channel shape will change. It will start tapering at one point. Channel will get pinched off. And after pinched off, if you are still increasing VDS voltage, your channel will actually move away from the drain end. That means that will give you a region where there are no channel or there are no charges. So that region is in fact a depletion region, and we know that depletion region will offer high resistance. But what is happening here, since we are applying a VDS voltage, that VDS voltage is actually dropping across this high resistive region, that is creating an electric field. So that electric field is actually pulling the electrons which are reaching this end of the channel, and because of this electric field, the electrons are in fact electrons are swept through this region, and the electrons will reach the drain terminal, right? So whatever electrons are coming over here, those will be swept away, and since the voltage is continuing there, since the voltage exists there, this current flow will actually happen continuously, right? So I'll take questions now. Hold for a while. Now what we are marking here, so now what is happening here, the current is becoming your current is not increasing, current is becoming constant. Now if you look at this part, okay, maybe I'll come to the regions of characteristics after a while. So I'll just list out what happens. Initially, your channel is uniform, and then your VGS and VGD were same. Then channel starts tapering, where your VGS is not equal to VGD, or in fact your VGD is equal to VGS minus VDS. As VDS increases, this happens. Now after a while, as we increase VDS further, channel pinches off. Then your channel will move away from drain end. So that will result in a depletion region between channel and drain, which is a highly resistive region. But now the increased VDS voltage is dropped in this depletion region, leads to a high electric field. Now this electric field is rapidly sweeps or pulls the electrons in the channel to drain terminal. This is what is happening. So now I can take few questions here. If you have doubt in this operation or in this understanding where current will continue there, you can you can ask questions. You can put in the chat box also. Right, you can just assume that you have a wider road, right, where a lot of vehicles are moving. You have a wider road, and after some time your road is getting narrow, right? Road is getting narrow. Now that doesn't mean that the vehicles will not move through this road. Rather, vehicles will move, right, with a lower speed, but that vehicle, the movement of the vehicles will still happen. Probably you can think this as an analogy to just understand. Initially you have a wider channel and electrons were actually flowing. It was flowing. It was, the speed was also good, but after some time, since the channel was tapered, since there is no channel and this electric field is actually pulling this, so since there is no channel, there is a wider, very narrow path, but because of electric field, the electrons are still moving and the current is actually flowing, right? I can take questions. If you have questions, you can put in the chat box. If not, if you want a little more time to understand this, take your time. I can take questions at the end of the discussion. In that case, I'll just, yeah, when channel is present, is current independent on channel width? Okay, when your VDS is less than VGS, is current dependent on channel width? Yes, uh, yes. If you look at the, if you look at, to make it clear, Kartikeya, I have to derive the drain channel. Yes, maybe now I can say that the current depends on the channel width. Yes, it depends on channel width. Yes, I think I can make it clear when I derive the drain current equation in the next day by considering the charges in the channel. By considering everything, I'll do that derivation part. So you will understand the dependency of drain current on the width of the channel. Is that okay for now? Oh, probably you will be thinking all of a sudden this width has come into picture. No, even initially I was talking, right? Your current was flowing initially because of the channel only, right? So when I said channel, channel is formed because of the charges. Now current through this device depends on the charges, definitely depends on the charges, right? Because moment of charges is nothing but your current, then that means it depends on charge. Now charge is actually the charges accumulated underneath the gate is nothing but your channel. So the width of the channel is also important, the width of the channel, not the depth of the channel. So I hope you remember what is width, probably in one class. I think yeah, I'll come back to that. Yeah, any other questions? Yes, all right. So let me continue with this. Let me yeah. So if I look at this graph, if I look at this um, IDVDS graph, so initially we understand that this portion where you have a linear increase in current as you increase your voltage. So this region is often identified as linear region for the reason that your current was actually increasing in proportion with the voltage. Now again, if you ask me that proportion, so this can be anything like this, right? So your ID VDS graph, this is VDS and this is ID. Now the current can actually flow like this, it can be like this, it can be like this, any form, it can take of any slope depending on what VGS you are applying. Depending on VGS, the current can take actually any slope. Now whatever it is a slope, there is some proportion between the applied voltage and current. So that is why we call the initial portion as linear region, or sometimes we call this as resistive region also, because this is similar to how a resistance behave, right? We call this as resistive, and this is also referred to as triode region. The name has come again from the response of a triode valve, which was the one of the initial components, right? So we often call this region as linear resistive or triode region. And once at this point, when your channel pinches off, so after that current is not increasing. Ideally, current is not increasing. So what is the meaning that current is not increasing? So after this voltage, even if I'm increasing VDS, your current is not showing any current is not actually in. Okay, let me. I'll come to that later. So since current is not increasing and current is constant here, here it is constant current. We call this region as, since the current is constant, current is saturated. We call this region as saturation region, right? We call this region as saturation region. So so initially when your VG is less than VT, there was no current. Saturated, yes, saturated region, saturation region, yes. So what I will do now is we'll just list out the regions of operation of MOSFET. Regions of operation. So the regions are defined by basically by two voltages. The first voltage is nothing but your VGS, right? Say if you're applying a VGS which is less than VT, less than threshold, can I expect any current? Can I expect any current when your VGS is less than VT? No. Why? Because there is no channel present. So your enhancement MOSFET is a normally off device. So I will write that current is equal to 0. And at this condition, whatever voltage you're applying to VDS, that doesn't matter. Current is equal to 0, and we call this region as cutoff region of MOSFET. Cutoff region. Now, if you're applying a VGS which is greater than, or say it is equal to VT. So if you're applying a voltage which is closely equal to VT or greater than VT, then I can expect a current. I can expect a current when, if I apply a voltage VDS, right? Now if I'm applying a voltage VDS, when there is a channel present, I can definitely expect a current. So your ID is not equal to 0. ID is a non-zero value, and this we have seen in this SCARA. So when your VDS is very small, or maybe to understand this point, when your VDS is less than VGS minus VT, the device is actually in linear region, right? So that I will make a note here. When your VDS is less than VGS minus VT, device is actually in linear region. Now, what is the region, linear region current equation? I will write the current equation. If this is the first time you are seeing, just don't worry, we will derive it later. So I will take the current equation as mu n Cox W by L into VGS minus VT into VDS minus VDS square by 2. Maybe you have seen this in a different form also, or you would have written all these things together as some k or kn or whatever it is, right? So here we will not write using those different notations. We will write the exact parameter what we are considering. So this is a linear region. And finally, still when your VGS is greater than or equal to VT, and if your VDS is greater than or equal to VGS minus VT, you will end up in another region, and we call that region as saturation region. For the reason current is not increasing further, current is becoming constant, and that region is in fact probably from this equation. From this equation, if you substitute VDS as VGS minus VT, because the condition is VDS can be equal or greater. So if I put the equality condition to the VDS here, you will end up in a relation that says that it is half mu n Cox W by L VGS minus VT the whole square. So I would say don't worry while looking at the big equation on the right side. This is the only equation you may need to remember throughout the entire course, and we will derive this equation and we'll understand each and every term separately. But just to give you this information, the mu n what I have written here is mobility of in this case it is electrons, that is why we mark it as mu n. Now Cox is nothing but oxide capacitance, but generally capacitance are capacitance, we write capacitance as in farads, right? Yeah, the unit of capacitance is farad, but here this oxide capacitance is defined as capacitance per unit area. This is defined as capacitance per unit area. We will come back to this later. Per unit area. So the unit is not farad, rather it is farad per area square, like micrometer square. Cox, right? So yeah, now for to Karthika, I hope you understand this. Here you can see drain current. The dimensions of the channel W and L are directly there. Now, how this has come into picture, we will actually understand graphically also in the coming classes, right? Now, one more point I want to make here. So the condition or the point where your VDS equals VGS minus VT is considered as so this is the edge. This point is considered as edge of triode region or edge of saturation region, because if you look at the graph, this point when your VDS is equal to VGS minus VT is neither in saturation nor in triode in that way, or instead of telling neither in saturation nor in triode, we always refer that as edge of triode region or edge of saturation region. That means we consider this in both the cases, either yeah. So from this point onwards we will consider it in saturation region. So we usually define this as edge of saturation region, or sometimes we call this as edge of triode region also. Both are true, right? Now yeah, if you have doubts I'll take questions just after finishing one more thing. So I have written a parameter called mu n and Cox there in the current equation, right? And this parameter is otherwise called as process transconductance parameter. process transconductance parameter. These are the names what we generally use. Now let us look at the units of this. So what is mu n? How do you define mobility? Any response? Can I get some response in the chat box? How do you define mobility? Yeah, drift velocity by field. Yes. Yeah, when you apply a field, apply an electric field, electrons will move, right? So your velocity of the electrons and the electric field are proportional, and that constant is your mu n. So it is velocity by electric field. So what is the unit of velocity? It is meters per second, and electric field is in fact volts per meter. That means mu n is having a unit of meter square volts. So this we will do for once, and from then onwards you will, yes Manikanda, I saw your response. So from then onwards we will be using the only the final, like whatever is the unit of mu and Cox, we'll consider that. Now Cox, as I mentioned, it is not capacitance, rather it is capacitance per unit area. So the unit is farad per meter square, right? Now I will write this mu and Cox unit as meter square per volt second into farad per meter square, which is equal to farad per volt into second, right? Now I hope you understand this. Farad per second can also be written as ampere per volts. How will I do that? Farad per second can also be written in terms of amps per volt. You can try out that. So that means mu and Cox will have a unit of amps per volt square, right? So this mu and Cox is called as process transconductance parameter, which is having a unit of amps per volt square. So when we use this in our calculations, it will be in terms of amps, it will be in terms of microamps, right? So now I can take few questions. Prepare your questions. Meanwhile, I'll just yeah. Please ask your questions. You can put in the chat box. All right. If you are thinking on, please put it over there. I'll just finish with this. This is the last topic what we'll be dealing today. We'll just look at the current voltage characteristics, and with that I'll come back and we'll have discussion on that. Right now, so since I know the current equation, since we know the current equation, if you have a MOSFET, right? I'll be applying VGS between gate and source and VDS between drain and source. As a result of this, you will get a current, and that current value is nothing but ID. Right. Now what we will do here is we will try to plot the current for different values of VGS and VDS, and we will try to get the current voltage characteristics of the MOSFET. But for that we have to, since we know, so this exercise we will be doing with the help of the current equation, right? Now for that I am just giving you the values of mu and Cox. Since we understood that the unit is amps per volt square, here the value is 100 microamps per volt square. Mu and Cox value is that. Threshold can be taken as 1 volt, and also assume that the W by L is width and length of the channel. It is 1. Both are equal. But if you look at the individual dimensions, it will be, both will be in terms of say for example width is 10 micrometers and length is also 10 micrometers. In that way you will get W by L as 1. And one more thing I want to note here, W by L is otherwise called as aspect ratio of the MOSFET, right? Now this is a very simple exercise what we are going to do now. So on the right side, I'll be marking this is VDS and this is ID. Right. Now this is 0. Say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. Now what we will do is this is value 6. Correspondingly, for each as you increase your VDS, you will get a current, but that will happen only when your VGS is having a specific value. Say for example, I'll assume that my VGS value is 0. Now what I'll do here is I'll draw the I'll find the current in saturation, and then I'll extend the Cara and I'll mark it towards the linear region, right? So initially I'll assume that VGS is 0. Can you tell me when your VGS is 0, what will be your current? When VGS is 0, yes, current also will be 0. How will I understand that? I will write the current equation here. It is half mu n Cox W by L VGS minus VT. Again, I repeat, don't worry by looking at this equation. We'll be looking in detail how we arrived at this equation in the next class, coming classes. So now, now when your VGS is 0 in this case, you so how will you understand that when your VGS is 0, even you do not have a VGS minus VT in this case, right? That means you do not have a channel present. So sorry, this cannot be considered now because this is a current equation in saturation. So when your VGS is 0, directly your current is 0. Now if your current is 0, how will I mark that? Even if you vary VDS, current will remain as 0. That means it is exactly on the x-axis. Right, that is for your VGS equal to 0 volt. Now all right, that cannot be drawn using this equation, right? Okay, so I'll consider that my VGS is 1, then only this will hold true. I hope it is clear. We know that when your VGS is 0, current is 0, but that is your cutoff region, and this equation cannot be used there. So now I will consider, I will start with VGS of 1. Say if my VGS is 1, when I substitute 1 minus the VT1, you will get a current as 0, right? That is marked here. That is marked here as VGS equal to 1 volt. Your current is 0. Whatever you do with VDS, your current will remain as 0. Now I am looking for another voltage VGS of 2. Can you tell me what is current now? If you look at this, mu n Cox is 100 micro. What is the current when your VGS is 2? W by L is 1. So this mu n Cox is 100 micro into 1 by 2. So this, in fact, the entire thing is 50 micro. What is VGS minus VT? VGS is 2, VT is 1. So what is the current? Any answers? 50 micro, yes. Why are we not using equation for linear region for 1 volt and 2 volt? Yeah, so what I'm trying to do here is I am finding the saturation current first, and then I am extending. Parnika, I will answer your question after drawing this characteristics, right? So I am if I take linear region equation, I have to plug in both VDS and VGS together there. So what I will do is, I know that the transistor will ultimately go to saturation as you keep on increasing your VDS. So I am finding what is the saturation current, then I am connecting that back to the triode region. So you'll understand what I'm trying to do here after a short after a while. Right. Yeah, now the current is 50 microamps. Please hold on, I'll explain that properly. Right. So when your VGS is 2, your ID is equal to 50 microamps. But yes, as Parnika just mentioned here, so how will I plot this? So when your VGS is 2, you will get a current of 50 microamps, but that current will be that constant current will be available from what value of VDS? I will get that from VDS value of VGS minus VT. What is VGS here? VGS is 2, VT is 1. So I will get that current from the value of VDS, which is from 1, because 2 minus 1 is 1. That means from here on you will get actually this current. What is this current? This current is 50 microamps. For what value of VGS am I getting that? I am getting that for a VGS value of 2. Right. Now, as I keep on increasing this, say now my VGS is 3. What is my new current? Can just solve it. 3 minus 2, sorry, 3 minus 1 is 2, 2 square is 4, 4 into 50 microamps is 200. So now the new current is 200. 200 micro is the new current. Now from which voltage that current is available? That is available from VDS equal to VGS minus VT. Now your VGS is 3, 3 minus 1 is 2. So from 2 onwards, from 2 voltage, when your VDS is equal to 2, you will actually get a current of 50, 100, 150, 200. I'll consider this as my 200 microamps. This is 200. Are you guys getting? I have just marked the saturation current. Still, if I continue this, I'll just write for one more. Say for 4 voltage. For 4 voltage, what will be the current? 4 minus 1, 3, 3 square 9, 9 into 5, 45, 450. Then you will get a current of 450 microamps. But for which value? From which value of VDS? From VDS equal to VGS minus VT, 4 minus 1, which is 3. So from 3 onwards, so this is 200, 250, 300, 350, 400, 450. So let me just extend this, and probably from this point, right? This is 3 voltage, and from here on you will get a current. What is that current? That current is actually 450 microamps, and that is for a voltage VGS equal to 3. Are you guys getting what I have done here? Right. So as you keep on increasing your VGS, you are actually getting a higher current. At the same time, your saturation point is also shifting towards the right. You can see there are your edge of saturation is actually shifting towards right. Now how will I join this further together? Now I know that the current in linear region will be the maximum, it will come to 50. So the before the current will be somewhere between 0 and 50, right? Now between 0 and 1, whatever voltage you if you are considering it as 0 0.1, 0 0.2, 0 0.3 up to 0.9, you can find the respective values properly. Similarly, if I extend this, I can draw in this form, and if I extend the next graph, it will be in this form, right? So this graph is nothing but here we call this as drain characteristics or output characteristics of the MOSFET.
So,
Yes.
shouldn't the last line be VGS equal to 4 volt? The one you've drawn with the yellow.
Oh yes, 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 yes. Sorry. This should be VGS equal to 3 volt, and this is VGS equal to 4 volt. Yes. Thank you, Naman. Naman, right? Yes. Thank you. Yes. So this is your drain characteristics, or we call this as drain cara, or since it is between drain current and drain to source voltage, we call this as output characteristics also. Now, so if this is drain cara, then how will you plot the other cara? We call it as IDVGS graph. So plotting IDVGS graph is now straightforward. How is that? For that, I have VGS on one axis, VGS on one axis, and ID on the other axis. And now I know that for each VGS, what is the current? Now this is 1, say this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5, right? So for 1 volt, when your VGS is 1, your current is 0, right? When your VGS is 2, what is the current? So I can, in fact, I can extrapolate this, or I can just look at these lines. This is 50 microamps. Now I have this graph, which is of 200 microamps, and finally I have this, which is of 450. Right, this is 450 microamps, and this is 50 microamps, and sorry, this is 50 microamps, and this one is 200 microamps. So what am I doing with all these colors here? So if I plot IDVGS graph, I know that for 1 the voltage is 0, so I'll mark here. Now for 2 the current is 50 microamps, it is here. For 3 the current is 200 microamps, it is here. And for 4 the current is 450, it is somewhere here, right? Now if I mark this, I'll just, yeah. Now if I connect all these things together, my graph will be, right, this is your IDVGS graph where your VT is equal to 1 volt, right? So this has to be a little more, yeah, correct. Now if you look at this graph, this portion of the graph, I will mark this as, this is for VDS greater than or equal to VGS minus VT, and hence here actually we can say that the MOSFET is in saturation region, right? So I hope this is clear. And since this is between gate and drain, we generally call this cara as transfer characteristics. So why transfer cara is because generally gate is considered as input, when it is not, like, I cannot say this generally. If you look at MOSFET as a two-port device, gate as the input and drain as the output, this will be the name we can give. This is drain characteristics and the other one is transfer characteristics. Right. So this is all about the characteristics of MOSFET. In next class, we will start looking at how we have arrived at this characteristics, right? So I will wind up here. Now I can take all the questions what you have, and one more announcement. Yeah, that I'll do now. So thank you so much for joining. Yeah, I can see 55 participants now.